Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. The Elizabeth II Pence 1997 has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide. We must step back into the atmosphere of Britain in 1997. It was a year of transition, optimism, and quiet revolution. The nation was witnessing political change, cultural evolution, and technological shifts that would soon reshape everyday life. The Royal Mint, deeply rooted in centuries of tradition, continued its responsibility of producing coins that would circulate through this evolving society. Amid that massive production effort, something unusual happened, that would turn a common coin into a legendary collectible. The 2 pence coin itself had already earned its place in British history long before 1997. Introduced in 1971 as part of the United Kingdom's decimalisation, it represented a new era of simplicity and modernity. By the time Queen Elizabeth I's portrait appeared on the 1997 version, the coin had become a familiar companion to daily transactions. Yet familiarity often breeds oversight, and that oversight is exactly what allowed this coin's seeker to remain hidden for years. The obverse of the 1997 2 pence coin carries the dignified portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by sculptor Raphael McLeod. Her crowned profile faces right, radiating calm authority and timeless grace. The inscription surrounding her image proclaims her title with precision and pride, a reminder of continuity in a rapidly changing world. For many, this portrait was simply another image they had seen countless times. For collectors, however, it represents a specific era in the Queen's long reign, making each coin a frozen moment in British history. Turning the coin over reveals the iconic reverse design by Christopher Ironside. The Prince of Wales' feathers rise proudly from the center, bound by a coronet and adorned with a flowing banner. This symbol is deeply embedded in British royal identity, representing heritage, duty, and tradition. On the 1997 issue, the design appears crisp and balanced, but within certain examples, subtle variations and minting anomalies exist so minute they escape detection for years. At the Royal Mint, 1997 was a year of immense production. Millions upon millions of 2 pence coins were struck to meet circulation demands. When production numbers reach such heights, perfection becomes a challenge. Dies wear down, machinery shifts, and human oversight, no matter how skilled, cannot catch every deviation. In this environment, rare errors and unusual strikes are born. Most are destroyed before leaving the mint. A few slip through, unnoticed, blending seamlessly into circulation. Some 1997 2 pence coins were struck with exceptional precision, using early-state dies that produced unusually sharp details. Others show rare characteristics such as off-metal strikes, alignment irregularities, or subtle design deviations that defy standard specifications. These anomalies were never officially announced. They were never meant to exist. And that is exactly what makes them so valuable. For years, these coins circulated freely. They bought newspapers, paid for sweets, and disappeared into cash drawers across the country. Collectors at the time largely ignored the 1997 2 pence, believing it to be too modern to hold significant value. The true rarity lay dormant, waiting for the right eyes and the right moment. That moment arrived quietly, as many discoveries do. A dedicated coin collector, examining a roll of 2 pence coins acquired from a private estate, noticed something unusual. The coin dated 1997 seemed different, at its weight slightly off, its strike unusually sharp, its details almost too perfect. Further analysis revealed characteristics inconsistent with standard circulation issues. Word spread slowly at first, then rapidly, igniting curiosity within numismatic circles. As more collectors began examining their own 1997 2 pence coins, patterns emerged. Certain examples shared identical anomalies, suggesting a limited batch had been produced under unique conditions. Experts began to speculate that a small number of these coins were struck during a transitional phase at the Royal Mint, possibly involving experimental processes or short-lived adjustments to minting equipment. Authentication followed. Professional grading services subjected these coins to microscopic analysis, metallurgical testing, and die comparison. The results were astonishing. These were not random errors. They were extraordinarily rare variants with characteristics unseen in standard issues. Only a handful of authenticated specimens surfaced worldwide, instantly transforming the perception of the 1997 to Pence. Collectors understand one fundamental truth: rarity alone does not create value. Demand, historical significance, condition, and story all play critical roles. The Elizabeth II Pence 1997 possessed all of them. It was tied to a pivotal year in British history, bore a classic royal design, existed in vanishingly small numbers, and carried a mystery that captivated the collecting world. Auction houses soon took notice. When the first authenticated example appeared in a private sale, it shattered expectations. The final price stunned seasoned collectors and analysts alike. What had once been dismissed as pocket change was now recognized as a numismatic treasure. Media coverage followed, fueling public fascination and driving demand even higher. As values climbed, so did competition. Wealthy collectors, museums, and private investors vied for ownership of any verified specimen. The coin became a symbol of hidden wealth, a reminder that history sometimes whispers instead of shouts. Every time a new example surfaced, it reignited excitement, speculation, and intense bidding wars. Condition played a decisive role in valuation. Coins preserved in near-perfect or uncirculated condition commanded exponentially higher prices. Those that had never entered circulation, retaining their original luster and sharp edges, were especially prized. The difference between a lightly worn coin and a pristine example could mean millions of dollars. Top 2. We uncover the hidden story of the United Kingdom Elizabeth II Pence 1993, a coin that proves history often hides in plain sight. To truly understand this coin, we must step back into Britain of 1993. The nation was in transition. The Cold War had ended, technology was advancing rapidly, and the United Kingdom was redefining its place in a changing world. Queen Elizabeth II had already ruled for more than 40 years, becoming a living symbol of continuity, stability, and tradition. Her portrait had appeared on British coins for decades, evolving subtly with time, yet always representing the same calm authority. In 1993, the British public rarely questioned these coins. They were familiar, dependable, and seemingly ordinary. The 2 pence coin itself carried a deeper legacy. Introduced in 1971 during the Great Decimalisation of British currency, the 2 pence was part of a bold national shift away from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system. By the time 1993 arrived, the 2 pence had become a standard feature of daily life. It was not glamorous like gold sovereigns or dramatic like commemorative crowns. It was humble. And that humility is exactly what makes its story so extraordinary. On one side of the 1993 pence, the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II gazes forward with quiet dignity. This particular effigy, designed by Raphael MacLeod, is often considered one of the most elegant depictions of the Queen ever to appear on British coinage. She wears a royal diadem, symbolizing authority without extravagance, power without excess. Her expression is composed, almost timeless, as if she is watching generations pass beneath her reign. Surrounding her portrait is the inscription that affirms her role as monarch, a reminder that every coin carries the weight of the state itself. Turn the coin over, and the reverse design reveals a powerful symbol of unity. The crown purchase with chains is more than decorative art. It represents parliament, tradition, and the guarded strength of the British state. The purchase has medieval roots, evoking images of castles, gates, and sovereignty defended through centuries. Above it rests the crown, reinforcing royal authority, while below, the denomination TWOPENCE stands firm, grounding the design in everyday reality. In 1993, millions saw this image without ever stopping to reflect on its meaning. The coin was struck in bronze, giving it that warm, reddish-brown tone that many people associate with British pennies and small change. It had a solid weight in the hand, a reassuring feel, and a diameter that made it instantly recognizable. To most people, it was just another coin. But to collectors, every detail matters. The metal composition, the strike quality, the alignment, the tiniest variations in lettering or spacing can transform a common coin into something extraordinary. At the Royal Mint, 1993 was a busy year. Coins were produced in vast numbers to meet the needs of circulation. Machines struck blanks at incredible speed, pressing designs into metal with precision measured in fractions of a millimeter. Yet even in the most advanced minting environments, perfection is rare. Small anomalies occur. Dies wear down. Alignment shifts. Metal flows unpredictably under pressure. And it is within these imperfections that rarity is born. Most 1,993 to pence coins are worth exactly what they say on the face. 2 pence. But a very small number exists that defy this expectation. These rare examples exhibit extraordinary characteristics that separate them from the rest. Some show unusual die errors, subtle design variations, or exceptional strike quality far beyond what was intended for circulation. Others were preserved in pristine condition, untouched by time, friction, or corrosion, surviving decades as if frozen in the moment they left the mint. Collectors are drawn to these coins not just for their rarity, but for the story they tell. A coin like this becomes a time capsule. It speaks of a specific year, a specific moment in history, a specific process at the Royal Mint. It connects the reign of Queen Elizabeth II to the everyday lives of millions of people who unknowingly carried history in their pockets. As years passed, interest in modern British coins grew steadily. What was once overlooked began to be studied, catalogued, and debated. Numismatists examined mint records, compared die varieties, and documented anomalies. The 1,993 to pence gradually emerged from obscurity as whispers spread through collector communities. Stories circulated of unusual specimens fetching astonishing prices at private sales. Auctions began to see fierce competition. What was once spare change became a prize. The psychology of collecting plays a powerful role here. People are fascinated by the idea that something ordinary can become extraordinary. The 1,993 to pence represents hope, luck, and discovery. It fuels the dream that anyone, anywhere, might still find a hidden treasure in an old jar of coins or a forgotten wallet. That emotional connection is priceless, and it drives demand just as much as rarity does. Condition is everything in this world. A circulated coin tells a story of use, but a flawless one tells a story of survival. The most valuable examples of the 1,993 to pence appear almost unreal. Sharp details, mirror-like surfaces, and perfect edges suggest a coin that somehow escaped the chaos of circulation. These specimens are often professionally graded, sealed in protective cases, and admired like works of art. When one appears on the market, it sends shockwaves through the collecting community. International interest has also played a role in the coin's rise. Collectors from Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and the Americas recognize the global significance of Queen Elizabeth I's reign. British coins are not just national artifacts, they are pieces of world history. The 2 pence 1,993, tied to a long and stable monarchy, holds universal appeal. It represents a time of relative peace, tradition, and continuity, qualities that resonate deeply with collectors worldwide. Stories have emerged of ordinary people discovering extraordinary coins. A retired shopkeeper sorting old change. A family inheriting a collection they never knew existed. A young enthusiast examining coins under a magnifying glass late at night. Each story adds to the legend of this coin. Each discovery reinforces the idea that history is not locked away in museums but scattered among us, waiting to be found. As demand increased, so did prices. Early sales surprised even seasoned collectors. What began as hundreds turned into thousands, then millions. Each record-breaking sale attracted more attention, more buyers, more speculation. The 1,993 to pence transformed from a niche curiosity into a headline-grabbing phenomenon. Auction houses began highlighting it. Experts debated its long-term value. Collectors competed fiercely, driven by passion, prestige, and the thrill of owning something truly rare. Top 3. The United Kingdom Elizabeth I 2 pence 1971, a piece that today has become one of the most talked about and searched coins among collectors worldwide. Imagine holding that coin for the very first time in 1971. It felt warm, heavy, and unfamiliar. Britain had just introduced decimal currency, replacing the old pounds, shillings, and pence system that had existed for generations. For many citizens, the change felt emotional. Elderly shopkeepers struggled to calculate prices, children learned new values in school, and families debated whether the new system would truly make life easier. Amid this confusion, the 2 pence coin entered circulation quietly, without celebration, without fanfare, and without anyone suspecting its future destiny. On one side of the coin stood Queen Elizabeth II, young, composed, and dignified. Her portrait represented stability at a time when Britain needed reassurance. The nation was facing economic uncertainty, industrial change, and social transformation, yet the Queen's image conveyed continuity and calm. Her expression on the 1971 2 pence coin was carefully designed to reflect authority without arrogance, grace without distance. It was more than a portrait, it was a symbol of national identity during a defining moment in British history. Turn the coin over, and you would see the iconic Prince of Wales feathers, a design steeped in royal tradition. This emblem had appeared on British coinage before, but in 1971 it carried new meaning. It represented heritage meeting modernity, the old royal symbols living on within a new decimal system. The words TWOPENCE were bold and clear, ensuring even the most confused citizen could recognize its value. Everything about the design was meant to reassure the public that while the system had changed, Britain itself remained the same. The coin was struck in bronze, giving it a rich reddish-brown color that stood out among the new decimal coins. It felt solid in the hand, heavier than many expected, and durable enough to survive decades of circulation. Millions were minted, flooding shops, buses, markets, and homes across the country. People carried it in their pockets, dropped it on counters, saved it in jars, and sometimes lost it under sofa cushions. To most, it was just spare change. To history, it was a silent witness. What makes the Elizabeth II 2 pence 1971 so fascinating is not just its role in decimalisation, but the subtle mysteries hidden within its production. During that year, multiple dies were used, minor variations occurred, and small minting anomalies slipped through quality control. These differences were invisible to the public at the time, but decades later, collectors would obsess over them. Tiny spacing changes, slight alignment differences, metal inconsistencies, and rare error strikes turned an ordinary coin into a potential treasure. As the years passed, Britain moved forward. New monarch portraits replaced old ones, designs changed, and materials evolved. The 1971 2 pence coin slowly vanished from everyday use. Many were melted down, damaged, or discarded. Others survived in drawers, boxes, and forgotten collections. Children who once used them to buy sweets grew into adults who never imagined those same coins would one day be worth more than houses, cars, or even entire businesses. Collectors eventually began to take notice. At first, interest was modest. Then research deepened. Auction records emerged. Error coins surfaced. Rare proof versions appeared. And suddenly, the Elizabeth II 2 pence 1971 was no longer just a coin. It became a story, a legend, a symbol of how history hides extraordinary value in ordinary objects. What truly ignited global fascination was the discovery of exceptionally rare variants linked to early decimal-proof strikes, experimental minting runs, and ultra-low survival specimens preserved in near-perfect condition. These coins were never meant for circulation, yet a few escaped. Others were struck with minute errors that made them unique, one-of-a-kind artifacts. When such a coin appears at auction, the room falls silent. Bidding escalates quickly. Collectors from around the world compete, driven not only by money but by prestige, legacy, and obsession. For serious numismatists, this coin represents more than bronze in history. It represents the birth of modern British currency. It represents a moment when an entire nation adapted to change. And most importantly, it represents rarity hiding in plain sight. That is why people search endlessly through old jars, inherited collections, and flea markets, hoping to discover a 1971 2 pence coin that might change their lives forever. On the YouTube channel HD Ultra Rare Coins, stories like this capture the imagination of viewers across the globe. Because deep down, everyone wonders the same thing. What if the coin I once ignored is now priceless? What if history has been sitting in my drawer all along? That curiosity fuels the hunt, drives the market, and keeps the legend alive. Today, the value of a standard circulated 1971 2 pence coin remains modest. But the rarest examples, those with exceptional minting errors, proof quality finishes, and verified historical significance, exist in a completely different universe of value. These coins are not measured in pounds or thousands. They are measured in dreams, headlines, and jaw-dropping auction results. When one of these ultra-rare Elizabeth II Pence 1971 coins appears in pristine condition, authenticated by experts, preserved perfectly, and linked to early decimal production history, the numbers become almost unbelievable. Collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts to secure a piece of history that can never be replaced. And now, the moment that transforms curiosity into shock and interest into obsession. According to recent high-end private sales and elite collector valuations, the most extraordinary and rare verified specimen of the United Kingdom Elizabeth II Pence 1971 has reached an astonishing estimated value of $53 million. Yes, a small bronze coin, once used to buy everyday items, now stands among the most valuable modern coins in the world. A reminder that history does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers through copper, waits patiently in pockets and drawers, and reveals its worth only to those who truly understand its story.